What's going on, guys? It's Steve. Now, I have a real serious question for you guys. Are NBA coaches overrated? Now, when I say that, I mean, do some NBA coaches get too much credit? For example, Phil Jackson, what's his name? Greg Popovich, okay? Red Auerbach, etc., etc. Some of these coaches were blessed with great players because think about it. Back when Lebron James was on the Miami Heat, let's think about that. LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, okay? Eric Spoelstra got Coach of the Year. Eric Spoelstra was praised. Oh, he's such a great coach. He's such a great coach. This, and that. But now nobody talks about him, okay? No one talks about him now. So my thing is like, it's probably just that. Coaches are blessed with great players, and it's not really the coaching that wins the games. It's the players that are winning the games. Because think about it. Now, obviously, you have some really stupid coaches like, what's his name? Jeff Hornacek. You know, what he was doing with the Knicks was disgusting with his rotations. Obviously, you have worse than others. But what I'm trying to say is do they really make that big of a difference on an NBA super team? And the answer is no, they don't. Okay? For example, Greg Popovich is a great coach. Okay? An absolute great coach. But did Tim Duncan, Manu, and Tony help him throughout his career? Because without them, he wouldn't have any championships. Now, look at Tom Thibodeau. People say, oh, he's such a great defensive coach. Isn't he the coach on the Timberwolves now? Okay? He's the head coach on the Timberwolves now. But they're not a great defensive team. You know, so what happened to, oh, he's such a great coach when he was with Chicago? Now he's not even that great of a coach. He's not, no one talks about him anymore like they used to. I mean, like for real. The NBA head coaching position is the most overrated thing in the NBA. It's the most overrated thing right now in the NBA. It's ridiculous. You know, it's honestly crazy because these coaches get so much recognition, but in reality, they're just blessed that they have great players on their team. Okay? Because think about it. No one talks about Eric Spoelstra anymore. People used to say, oh, he's one of the best coaches in the league, or this, and that. What happened to him? The coach that used to coach the Atlanta Hawks when they had the best record in the Eastern Conference in 2015, what happened to him? You know, the Hawks rebuilded. They got rid of Jeff Teague. They got rid of Joe Johnson. They got rid of Al Horford. Obviously, Joe Johnson was gone way before then. But they got rid of all of these players. And what happened now? No one talks about him being a great coach now. You know, no one even talks about him anymore. Remember when Mike Woodson was the head coach of the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks had the second best record in the Eastern Conference? What happened? Everyone was saying, oh, Mike Woodson this, oh, Mike Woodson that. But now, guess what? No one talks about him. Now, that's probably because he doesn't coach, but even when he changed, no one was talking about him. Okay? You know, to be honest, the head coaching position is the most overrated thing in basketball. It's the most overrated thing in basketball. Okay? Obviously, you need a great team and great coaches to create plays and write plays down and do all of this other crap, obviously. But what I'm trying to say is, just because you have a coach on a team that's winning games because there's superstars on the team, that doesn't mean that the coach is a good coach. Any coach could get drafted to, not drafted. Any coach can go to a team and win games, okay, because that team has superstars on their team. You're telling me right now, if we got rid of Ty Lue and we hired, Mark Jackson, you're going to sit there and tell me that there would be a difference in coaching? There would be a difference in the team. What happened about David Blatt? Remember they fired David Blatt because they had a terrible start to the season? Okay, didn't Ty Lue have that same terrible start to the season this year? You know, so the head coaching position, there are times where you can see that coaching is causing franchises to lose games. Prime example, the New York Knicks this season with Jeff Hornacek and his terrible rotations. That's prime example number one. Okay, but for the most part, honestly, Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, I know people are going to get mad that I'm saying this, but Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, who else? Some historic coaches. What's his name? The dude the dude in Miami, man. I can't remember his name at this point in time. You guys know who I'm talking about. The guy that wouldn't sign Dwyane Wade for the extra $5 million. I can't remember his name right now. Red Auerbach as well. Those 4 coaches, okay? Those 4 coaches are some of the greatest coaches in NBA history, supposedly, right? But if you think about it, if you add, let me see, a terrible coach. If you put Jeff Hornacek, I'm not saying he's a disgustingly terrible coach. I just say his rotations cost the Knicks some games. Now, not some, a lot. If you put Jeff Hornacek on the first three-peat Chicago Bulls, I guarantee you the Chicago Bulls would still three-peat. If you put Jeff Hornacek on the second three-peat Chicago Bulls, I guarantee those Chicago Bulls would still three-peat. If you put Jeff Hornacek, okay, let me use someone else. I feel bad. If you put Mike D'Antoni on, that's another example I got to talk about in a second. If you put Mike D'Antoni on Kobe and Shaq's Lakers, would they still not make the finals 4 years in a row, win 3 out of 4? If you put Mike D'Antoni on Tim Duncan's Spurs, would you still not win 5 championships with Tim Duncan? You get what I'm saying? Now, prime example 101 right here, Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni with Steve Nash was regarded as one of the greatest coaches in the game. He supposedly changed the game with his run and gun offense, okay? Now, he comes to the New York Knicks, and guess what? He's a terrible coach now. Everyone hates him. So he's fired. He doesn't get a coaching job for a while. He gets hired to the Houston Rockets. James Harden has an historic season. The Houston Rockets have a great season. And guess what? Now all of a sudden he's one of the best coaches in the league again. His running gun offense has changed the league again. And people just bringing everything up again. And Mike D'Antoni this, Mike D'Antoni that. You see where I'm coming from? You see, the coaching position is the most overrated thing in basketball. Because there's 2 reasons why. The main reason why is that these players that are on dominant winning teams, like Warriors or Cavs, it don't matter who is coaching, they're still going to win games. Prime example, they went from Steve Kerr to Luke Walton to Mike Brown, and they just swept the Western Conference without Steve Kerr. But yet Steve Kerr's a great coach, or maybe he just inherited a great team. Was Mark Jackson really a great coach? Or maybe he just inherited a great team. You see where I'm coming from? Like, there's a big difference between being great. You want to know why Eric Spoelstra is actually a pretty good coach? Okay? I'm not going to sit here and say he's one of the greatest ever. And to be honest, I don't consider any of these coaches some of the greatest ever. But you want to know why Eric Spoelstra is a really good coach? He is still, without Wade, LeBron, and Bosh, still pushing for the playoffs. And the year prior, he made the playoffs without LeBron. He's still pushing for the NBA playoffs. Okay? With I almost said Isaiah Thomas. With Hassan Whiteside, Goran Dragic, the rest of them boys, Justin Winslow, and the rest of them. He's a pretty solid coach. Okay? So, obviously, there are good coaches out there. But what I'm trying to say is, be careful on who you label a good coach, because anyone can become that quote-unquote legendary coach if they inherit a great team. It's Phil Jackson's a prime example. I'm trying to remember this guy's name, dude. In Miami, Pat Riley. Pat Riley's another example. Okay? Eric Spoelstra's an example. Mike D'Antoni's an example. There's a whole bunch of examples, okay, when it comes to the coaches inheriting great teams. There's a whole bunch of examples. A whole bunch. Unfortunately, most people aren't going to realize that. That's the sad part. But at the end of the day, I know people are probably going to get upset about this, but the second reason why is because these coaches are getting credit for things that, any other NBA coach would do the same exact thing. Now, the second reason is these coaches are getting credit for a team of coaching. There's no coaching team award, okay? While there should be, because, listen, if you guys really study the NBA, you would know that these NBA teams, they have defensive coordinators, they have offensive coordinators, they have defensive coaches, trainers, and all this other crap. All of that comes into play in your team's success. It's not just, oh, the coach, he's a genius, he can do. No. Okay? A lot of the time, it's the people in the sidelines, in the background, doing the real work. Okay? So I just want to make this video to say, be careful on who you label a great NBA coach. Be careful on who you label a great NBA coach. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from any NBA coaches, but I really am, because, you know, I'm tired. People need to realize this by now. Look, I know people are going to get upset. Steve, you're a hater, this, and that. No, I'm not a hater. I tell the truth. The fact is that, to be straight up honest with you, anyone that coached Michael Jordan's Bulls would have won 6 titles with Jordan. Anyone who would have coached Kobe and Shaq's Lakers would have won 3 titles. Anyone who would have coached the Miami Heat would have won those 2 titles. Anyone who would have coached LeBron James last year would have won that NBA championship. Anyone who would have coached Boston Celtics back in the 80s would have won those titles. Anyone who would have coached Magic Johnson's Lakers would have won those titles. You inherit a great team, you inherit success and championships and fortune. It's at the end of the day, that's the damn truth. It's been your man Steve. Hate on this video all you want, but it's the honest truth. NBA coaches are overrated as hell. They're not as special as you guys think. Anyway, I'm out. Peace.